Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk about Alliance Conquest, but not the boring old Alliance Conquest sucks video. This topic has more intrigue, more mystery, more drama than any other Alliance Conquest video I've done, and probably one of the most of any video that I've done. Now, before we get into the actual details of the video topic for today, surrounding Alliance Conquest, surrounding some of the top ranked Alliance Conquest teams, I just want to start off by saying that this information was provided to me by someone. It's not my personal experience, so therefore I can't 100% vouch for the authenticity of the information. That's just how information works. It's not first-hand experience. This is second-hand experience that I'm giving to you guys. So I just want to put that out there at the beginning, and I do apologize for any inconsistencies or any inaccuracies or any exaggerations that I may portray during the course of this video. But I thought that even with those potential risks of potentially being wrong or potentially exaggerating certain, negative things, possibly villainizing certain teams, I thought that the topic and its importance were strong enough and big enough to bring it to you regardless. So here we go. I was contacted about a week ago by someone named Audio Android, and he is a member, or they are a member of Beast Force. And Beast Force is a team that is, as far as I'm concerned, as far as they said, is consistently around the top 20 for Alliance Conquest. Now, they're not top 20 right now. I'm scrolling through, and I don't think I've seen them yet. But anyways, oh, there they are, rank 42. They appear to be a consistently at least top 50 Alliance Conquest team. And while a lot of you guys don't play Conquest, so a lot of you guys probably think that Conquest being, top 50 or top 100 is easy. It's actually not. It's fairly easy to get around the top 100. You don't actually have to try that hard if you have a few whale accounts, etc. But then once you get into even the top 50, it becomes extremely competitive. And if you talk to people who are in the top 20, even just the top 20, it's very much like an Alliance, an ABX, an Alliance Battle Extreme team or alliance, where every single member is dedicated, every single member is checking in daily, and they're constantly pushing their scores, and it's very, very competitive. Now, the problem with and the risk of having a very competitive environment where you have three teams, as you can see here, we have the new meta, we have Marvel United, and we have Asgard. The problem with 3 is that it's an odd number, and the other problem with 3 is that, well, there's only room enough for 1 at number 1, and so you have a situation where if there's 3 people, it's more beneficial, instead of doing a 1 versus 1 versus 1, why not have a 2 versus 1? I have to fight you, and I have to fight this other guy. Why don't you and me team up, and we'll just beat this other guy? You'll take less damage, I'll take less damage, we're at less of a risk, or we won't get critically hurt, stabbed, or whatever, and we'll guarantee that guy gets knocked out. And then maybe when we're done, we'll fight one-on-one, or maybe we won't. But in that case, you're minimizing your risk completely. And so this takes various forms. I've told you guys before that when I used to play Alliance Conquest more competitively, that my alliance would be approached pretty frequently, not every week, but almost every other week they would be approached by one of the other 2 alliances. So imagine I got an email or a line message from someone from Marvel United or someone from Asgard. Again, this didn't actually happen, but I'm saying it has happened to me very frequently in the past. And they say, hey, Cynicalex, we're here from Asgard, and we see that you're with us against Marvel United in Conquest. Why don't we tag team? Why don't you and I put our forces together, and we will just paint the board purple and green and leave red out of the deal? That happens very frequently, but what I'm about to explain to you guys is actually way worse than that, because it involves basically the highest, what I would explain as, now what I would describe as the highest level of non-cheating cheating that you could do. This is as close to cheating as you can get. So essentially what happens is, and for the sake of this example, I will use the name of the alliance that is being accused of doing this, and they're called Winergy. So this is the Winergy Coalition of Alliances. So apologies if you're in that alliance. Apologies if you're in one of the other alliances that make up. You can see here they've got a lot. They've got the Winergy, we've got Winergy Force. We scroll down a little bit further, and there's more here. I've seen already a few more on top of that. Where are we? So anyways, the point is they have a lot of alliances. We have Winergy with spaces. We have another one down here as well, Winergy Alpha. So they have a lot of alliances in Alliance Conquests, you know, just by coincidence. Well, it's not by coincidence, actually. They have a lot of alliances in the Alliance Conquest top 50, top 100 bracket. And basically, what's been explained to me is that, and I have screenshots here to provide some context for it. So here is the screenshot of Beast Force going up against these two other alliances. We have Winergy Force in the middle, and then we have this Korean alliance on the left. It's like, I think it's called Winergy Fusion, or Winergy Force. Yeah, that's the Korean alliance. I was trying to read it in my head. Anyways, so we have this Korean alliance, which I think stands for Winergy Force, and then we have Winergy Force in English. Now, if you can imagine, those two alliances are actually part of the same group of Winergy alliances, and what they essentially do is they will move players from one alliance to the other, and then when they group up in an Alliance Conquest bracket with a third team, they will intentionally, I mean, they'll win, they'll do their best to win first place, but then they will use that secondary alliance to just create enough issues and enough problems for that third alliance that's not part of their coalition, to basically force them into third place and give that second alliance, which has been stripped down to just a few members, give them the second place team. So basically how this works is, imagine you're playing a game of basketball against two other teams. But those two other teams, you have your team, but those two other teams are actually just one super team of 20 players. And they can pick and choose which one of their players goes on which team before the matches even start. And then from there, they will intentionally feed the weaker team with points to force them into second place, giving them easy baskets, allowing them to score, intentionally, you know, turning over the ball to give them back the ball instead of giving it to you, and so on and so forth. Now, again, it gets a little bit complicated in Alliance Conquest because you have to conquer zones, but basically you can sort of body block or zone block out a certain area and then just allow the weaker alliance to take it over. So, for example, imagine that purple alliance was the weak Winergy alliance, and imagine the green alliance at the bottom was the strong Winergy alliance. And then imagine that the A at the far right there was the third alliance, just the regular non-Winergy alliance. What Winergy could do is they could conquer zones 7, they could conquer zones 5, and then they could conquer zones 6 and create a blockade. Then they allow the much weaker second Winergy team at the top with the hammer to very easily, without any sort of blowback or defense or kind of a counterattack, allow them to take zones 1, 3, and 4. And meanwhile, the non-Winergy alliance has to take zones 9 and has to take zones 8 and 12 and 11, and then they have to start trying to get through this wall of 7, 5, and 6. Now, this is not exactly what goes on. I don't know the exact specifics of what's going on for how they achieve this, but basically the way that it looks is, and this is the craziest part, this is the most damning evidence. So you'll have one alliance here, and these are screenshots that were taken on the same day. This is the Winergy Force alliance that you guys saw from the first screenshot that was in second place with 38 points. They have 2 alliance members out of 40. Now you ask yourself, if Beast Force is in a top 20 or top 30 Alliance Conquest team, why are they facing off against an alliance in the top bracket who only has 2 members? Well, Winergy intentionally took all of their best players off of that team and put it on the second alliance. The second alliance being the Korean Winergy Force alliance. And it says there in the alliance notice, Winergy Force's second alliance. So they trade members back and forth, and they intentionally stack one team or another. Now, there is still the obvious point of, well, there's still only about 42 members versus 40, so the actual odds of winning or losing are not that bad. But you take into account other things that happen very frequently, like, for example, I explained the area blocking and allowing the weaker alliance to just take zones without any sort of reprisals. And then on top of that, you have things like account piloting. So this is pretty rampant for ABX as well for a lot of the top alliances, but it happens in Conquest too, where basically in order to join these very competitive alliances who I'm not saying they're cheating, but they're definitely bending the rules to their breaking point. They will make you give up your login information, whether it's your Facebook login or whatever. And then it doesn't matter if you're asleep, dog. I'm going to log into your account, and it's very, very easy to do with an emulator. You can have like 5 instances of Marvel Future Fight open on your computer at the same time. You can probably have more instances if you use different emulators like Nox and BlueStacks. So I could be possibly running 10 different accounts on one computer simultaneously. So imagine that level of an advantage versus just 40 different people picking up their phones or, using their devices to actually individually play Conquest. The level of coordination, the level of strategy and reaction time that you can have when I can control 10 different accounts, when I can control 10 different teams of Jean Grey, Thanos, and Strife, or what have you, is absolutely, it's borderline unfair, and to me it's borderline cheating. But this 2 versus 1 strategy that allows the weaker alliance to basically stay in the top ranks, because basically what happens is if you take a week off from Alliance Conquest, your rank will drop. But then when you join back in, you'll be kind of comboed up against someone that was at that new rank, and you'll be kind of paired up with them. So what they can do is they can intentionally drop ranks by putting all of their best players in the more competitive alliances when they do get a competitive group of 3, and then when they are on an off week and they get a weak group, they can, basically take a vacation because they don't need as many members to actually win or just to stay in second place and kind of float around that level. And then when they want to bounce back up and they get lucky enough, and the chances of getting 2 out of 3 alliances being in the winner G circle when you have 6 or 7 alliances in the top 50 is honestly not that unlikely. So you can imagine that there's going to be multiple instances where this happens, and there may even be instances where they get 3 winner G alliances in the same Alliance Conquest grouping, and then from there they just get to choose who's going to rank up higher in the Alliance Conquest rankings, because every time you get first place, you also move up. So they can even monopolize from there further their rankings. Now, obviously, it still takes a tremendous amount of coordination. It still takes a tremendous number of accounts to actually get multiple alliances at level 30, at Alliance Store level 10, into the top 50 of Alliance Conquest. But at the same time, it exposes the biggest, by far the biggest flaw with Alliance Conquest, and honestly the reason why they should shut down this game mode, in my opinion, and they should rework it and re-release it, is the fact that it's a 3 alliance fight. There is no good reason to have 3 different alliances, especially when they're open, that when they're vulnerable to such obvious rigging and such obvious sort of 2 versus 1ing, which completely destroys the competitive spirit of any sort of matchup and any sort of PvP in any game ever. It's just completely ridiculous to allow a 1 versus 1 versus 1 to quickly devolve into a very, very stacked 2 versus 1 that allows one alliance or one coalition of alliances to completely bully others just to get higher rankings. It's completely nonsensical. It's honestly stupid as hell, and Netmarble really needs to realize this and just completely remove it. Alliance Conquest, at the very, very least, if they're not going to change anything else about this game mode, if they're going to be lazy as hell, they at least need to make it a 1 versus 1. That will eliminate all of these shenanigans, and that will require the alliances to actually do their part and win on the merits of their 40 best members, not winning on the merits of, well, you know what? Looking at this alliance, we're going to need a few more heavy hitters. So why don't we call up our 10 best guys from the 3rd alliance into the 2nd alliance, because the 1st alliance and the 2nd alliance are being put into an Alliance Conquest group this week with Alex's alliance. So we're going to have 40 over here and 10 over here. That's 50. We're going to easily take 1st and 2nd place and leave them with 3rd place. It's completely ridiculous. It's sad. And I honestly am shocked that Netmarble just allows this to happen. It completely removes and destroys any sort of, respectable ranking. Like when they make those, for example, when they make those infographics for Marvel Future Fight and they say, top Alliance Conquest, top Alliance for Alliance Conquest, top Alliance for ABX and stuff like that. How are you even going to stand behind those rankings? How are you even going to put those names up there when you probably well know by studying the data at all, if they ever do that people are clearly botting and piloting and cheating? Well, again, I don't want to call it cheating, but it's borderline cheating when you're forcefully putting two of your alliances up against one other, and swapping, characters, swapping players around with vast rosters to manipulate the odds and to manipulate your advantages in a given week for the 2 versus 1 battle. It's honestly, it's dumb as hell. It frustrates me, and it's really hard not to swear on this video because Alliance Conquest is a steaming pile of trash on fire. And it needs to change. And the saddest thing of all is that despite how bad Alliance Conquest is, and I'm going to quote Audio Android here because, again, I don't play Alliance Conquest, so when I say that I love Alliance Conquest, or when I say that I love the idea of the game mode or whatever, it kind of sounds hollow because I don't play Alliance Conquest. But imagine this. You're this guy, or you're this person. You play an Alliance Conquest every week. You're in a top 20 Alliance Conquest alliance. You take this game mode super seriously. You say things like, Alliance Conquest could be an amazing game mode with some minor tweaks. You say things like, I personally love it. It's one of the few game modes that the whole alliance can come together for and communicate in real time to coordinate and strategize. And then you also say, the rewards are garbage. These are the people that I have to make these videos for. There are people who care, and there are people who are passionate about Alliance Conquest, and it pisses me off that Netmarble has never made an honest attempt to actually fix this game mode to the point where alliances take advantage of this by double teaming another alliance and shifting around their player base like a completely rigged tournament of literally any sport. So let me know what you guys think. I don't really like doing these kinds of drama videos, but I felt that this one was important. If you're part of Winnergy, please give us your side of the story. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.